Hi everyone. So here is Group 6 project about the social inclusion. Our group members are Amelia, Chamita, Desinta, Glenn, Putri, and Tiara. Here we take the topic about public response and acceptance toward minorities group, which is LGBTQ plus community. Have you ever heard about the LGBTQ plus community? If you haven't heard about it, you are obligated to watch this video. And if you have heard it, this video is very suitable for opening your eyes wider about the LGBTQ plus community. As we know, the Indonesian's tolerance toward the LGBTQ plus community can be set as low. Why? Because our nation is deemed to be more of a religious nation. Moreover, the data from the controversial public survey about LGBT stated that more than 80% of Indonesians think that LGBTQ plus is a threat to a public. And most of the Indonesians do not want to have the LGBTQ plus neighbors or even the leaders that belongs to the LGBTQ plus community. It is terrible, isn't it? Therefore, it is necessary to divert the focus from the majority and take a look from the other sides because all the community, all the people have the same rights. To reach the objective of our project, we did the interviews to some people who belongs to LGBTQ plus community. In addition, we also did an online survey to all people without any limitation of gender, sexuality, etc.
As you can see, when people refer to do you remember the BLM movement and people refer to black people as like the black community, while black itself is a race, right?
Mm.
I think,
Mm.
I think it's sort
Yeah,
of the same with being queer. Like, why is there a community? Because the situation makes us think like, oh, there's
yeah,
another person like me in this
yeah.
current situation, so let's form a community to help each other.
Like our identities are something that is personal to us, except we have the shared struggle of living under like a society that's oppressive towards us, which is why we call ourselves a community because we have that one shared thing and we support each other as a community. Yeah. I'm transgender and I go by she, they. I think if someone were to ask me more specifically, I would say I am on the non-binary spectrum, like gender.
I think I'm a cisgender woman. For those who might not know, cisgender is when you identify as a gender you were assigned with or what you were born with. I think for sexual orientation, for the labels, I don't really use labels, even though it's closer to what you might call a lesbian, like somewhere on the bi and lesbian spectrum.
Yeah, it was actually a really long journey to me discovering who I am, and I've gone through actually a few different I thought I was a bunch of different things before I realized that I am what I just said I was. But I think I would say I'm a bit lucky in that because I was kind of already knowledgeable about the LGBT community and being queer and stuff like that. Like I did grow up in like a really homophobic and like queerphobic community, of course, but I was very into the internet back in the day around like middle school and early high school where I've seen people I was basically an ally before I realized that I might not just be an ally. So I already internalized to myself that hey, it's okay that people cannot be straight or not be cisgender. Pokoknya ya gue harus tinggal kayak ngertiin aja kayak oh kalau itu nggak apa-apa, artinya nggak apa-apa kalau gue itu juga.
Yeah, I started out as an ally, childhood, and how I perceive people and romantic attraction. I think, yeah, that's how I realized. And in junior high and high school, I started having my first crushes. Yeah, that's kind of how I fully know and come like make peace with myself. I think it's around high school. I think, yeah, but the thing is, I never told anyone before. Like, I kept it to myself for quite a while. And during those days, I just think, like, oh, then I'm different. I think that's okay. But again, the society that I grew up in and, like, the family and the people around, they tend to stigmatize that. And I think from the start, like, the moment people say that, oh, this is wrong. Instead of like just going with it, I think like why is it wrong? So that's how I started my research and things like that. I started to look around and in my head like how is this wrong?
I've always been sort of anxious about interacting with like other people outside of people that I actually know. And even though I think like I've never really like told anyone or was outward about me not being cisgender or heterosexual, but I think it sometimes like there is stuff that like shows. And like I've never been socializing what like people would call like quote unquote like normal. And Iris said like I didn't really tell anyone unless I really trusted them and jadi sedikit apa dia diam-diam aja gitu. For me, I think I had like a little bit of a funny story. Again, this is one of the few things that, which is why I said earlier that I feel like I'm more lucky in terms of this than some other people because I actually came out to some of my friends like at the end of middle school, at the end of junior high, and then when I did that, like I said offhandedly because it was like not really that big of a deal. We've already like established that hey, homophobia kind of or is wrong, but when I came out, like a few of my other friends ended up coming out too. So like I already got a queer friend group built in then. So that was kind of a better like a positive outcome of like a coming out. I've never really come out to people who I don't think it would be safe to come out. So I've always had like an okay experience with that.
I think yeah, when it comes to choosing people to come out to, I'm quite selective about it. Like I scan their values and how they probably would react. So yeah, I think yeah, that's the thing. Sometimes people just don't accept it. So you just gotta be good in finding the good ones. And I think same as Nadia, I happen to have queer friends. So I think it's better you attract what you are. Like the law of attraction maybe. Like when I come out, like my friend will just like tell them they're an ally or just like, oh, I am this label too or things like that. And I think that's I think that's how I met Nadia also, like one of the friends. It I actually didn't really come out with them. I didn't tell them, but it's more like a leaked out secret thing. So someone I know who I told other people, and when they find out, they don't like say it to my face, but it's more like when when someone is being passive aggressive directed towards you, even if it's in a big group. Yeah, it's usually like that. Like not necessarily physical attack because again, I'm a girl. How would it look like if a guy hits a girl? Like he will get in trouble. It's like just mean words usually, and when it comes to mean words, I think at this point I just handle it well because it's not attacking my physical safety or my financial safety.
I don't know if this counts, but like since I've never really come out, the topic of like in particular has never been in danger of that type of thing. But I've always hear like people around me who I haven't come out to talk about LGBT people very negatively, and I guess that like indirectly hurts me because like
Yeah.
little do they know I am the person that they're talking about too, and
Yeah,
that's the closest thing I feel about to that. I think it's it's been noticeable, I guess, because the like internet and social media has become more and more a part of our lives that we see different perspectives. Like I think it's more of me being exposed to different environments and perspectives than just the time because I didn't really see as many people who are like me around me when I figured myself out. But now, like I could just go online and like I know that a lot of different people have similar experiences too and stuff like that, and it's easier to share that now.
I think sorry for saying, but I would like to add this up. I think me and Nadia, in this case, I think people can count or say that we are quite privileged. That so far we are safe, never harmed, because when you see the news, like you see a lot of bad news, like trans people burned or beaten to death, and I think it's mostly the guys. I don't really hear a lot news about lesbians or bi women. Like if it's women, I don't really hear about it. But if it's a man, there's a lot of news like they're beaten to death and things like that. So yeah. I think about like groups like that. They already exist, but it's non-government. Like it's
Yeah.
just people, usually non-profit also. They would gather up. There is also I know a few movements in Indonesia and a few community that do that. They like raise funds and find I think mostly trans people to help because they get disowned and are on the streets more.
Yeah.
Basically, like just queer youth who are kicked out or beaten up, things like that. Like when they need financial help or governmental help, things like that. But I think about the law, I'm actually not asking much because even though I would like it to be like in other accepting countries where people can legally transition or get married, but I think that's still far away. Like it's still far off in Indonesia, like you know. But I just, mm, I think it's already under the radar. Like there are laws against, what do you say? How do you call it? There are laws against like violence, right?
Yeah.
And that applies to everyone, right?
Mhm.
Like every individual in Indonesia. So that applies to us also. It doesn't make any difference. We are still human.
So after that, I think I would say that yes, the organizations already there are already organizations that exist now, but I think what I would like to see in the future is more voice given to them, or more power, or more prevalence in just wider media. Because yeah, sometimes I feel like those types of organizations I have to look to find them. And
Yeah.
so yeah, to answer your question, I think yes, we would need more, especially more voice to the organizations that do exist and more organizations the help that are like accessible. So yeah, but short answer is yes.